Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Salcedo Show here on Newsmax. Yesterday, we told you how guys like Mitch McConnell, Kevin McCarthy, and Paul Ryan are working hard to keep Democrats in the game. But as usual, the leftists in this country, upon seeing all that idiocy, saying, hold my beer. The Fetterman fallout, that's our focus in today's preamble. John Fetterman, who has suffered a stroke, wants to be the next senator from Pennsylvania, even though his stroke has apparently incapacitated him, making him unable to do the job. This is how his one and only debate started. His first question of the night. Watch.
As lieutenant governor, you're running for a seat that could decide the balance of power in Washington. What qualifies you to be a U.S. senator? You have 60 seconds.
Hi, good night, everybody.
Hi, good night, everybody. Now, before you bust out laughing, I submit to you that was the most honest and complete answer Mr. Fetterman gave all night. What qualifies him? Nothing. Hi, and good night. But it's not just Fetterman, in my judgment. Few in his party are qualified for political office. The opposite is true. The majority of Democrats are unqualified. Americans can't afford to place our lives and the lives of our children in their incapable and trembling hands. But apart from the honesty from Mr. Fetterman, he lied too, something that even CNN could ignore.
Always supported fracking, and I always believe that independence with our energy is critical.
Now, it's fine for Fetterman to change his mind, but it is false to say that he has always supported fracking, as a moderator pointed out. Because as recently as 2018, Fetterman was saying the opposite, as first unearthed by CNN's K-File.
I don't support fracking.
Okay, if you're a Democrat and CNN can't carry your water any longer, you're doing it wrong. And what is the it I'm speaking of? The fiction, the narrative, the malarkey, to borrow a phrase? When one can't completely shovel the manure that has been the hallmark of the Democrat Party for the last decade, then one is doing it wrong. Democrats are telling NBC that it was a mistake to let the voters of Pennsylvania see the truth about Fetterman. What an indictment of the Democrat Party. They prefer their voters not to have the facts when deciding for whom to pull the lever. Democrats are openly saying it would have been better to keep voters in the dark about Fetterman's inability to do the job he's applying for. Democrats thought it best to get him into power so that unelected leftists could run Fetterman's Senate office in his name, or as we call it here on the Chris Salcedo Show, the Joe Biden model. And speaking of uninformed people, the ladies at The View, upon seeing GOP candidate Mehmet Oz pointing out to the people of Pennsylvania that Fetterman was unqualified to serve, the ladies cried foul.
It was really strange to me that he chose to bully a stroke victim. Yeah, right? Exactly. Like, he obviously was bullying him. And, you know, I don't think the people of Pennsylvania or the people in general liked that, because Fetterman raised $1 million after that debate.
That's right. Shame on you, Dr. Oz. How dare you place an emphasis on competence? The intellectuals at The View apparently believe that it's required that the Republican candidates lose debates on purpose when Democrats nominate incapable, racist, or unqualified candidates themselves. Because Democrats think they're entitled to power, even if they can't understand or even spell the word power. Now, before anyone claims that Sunny Hostin has anything intelligent to add to any conversation, listen to what she does when the subject of violence against Republicans is brought up.
The last few months, Lee Zeldin was nearly stabbed on stage while campaigning in New York. A bullet came within...
Oh, violence against the GOP is understandable because they are, quote, hated, says Sunny Hostin. It's sad to see that ABC and the producers of The View would promote their hosts excusing violence due to hate. Is John Fetterman a rare case because he's trying to convince the people of Pennsylvania to elect him to do a job that he can't do? Is the press and left-wing media a cowardly lot for suggesting that sympathy qualifies one to serve in government? And when John Fetterman, or whoever would be calling the shots, implements policies that cost Pennsylvanians their safety, security, and prosperity, will a sympathy vote fix anything? No. But as I wrap up here, consider this. Fetterman may not be an example of a stroke victim who's trying to pull off a con on the people of one state. He may simply be a Democrat.
The way China will respond is when we gather the rest of the world that, in fact, believes in open trade and making sure that we're in a position.
COVID has taken this year, just since the outbreak, has taken more than 100 years. Look, here's the lives. When you think about it.
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure.
Barack and I think it's a right for people to have bad health care.
We're going to seize their yachts, their luxury homes, and other ill-begotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy. Yeah.
Yeah. Can't the case be made that the entire party, headed by Joe Biden there, is unqualified for positions of power that they hold?